Welcome to another episode of Me and My Friends podcast, The Black Man Perspective. We have a great episode for you today with some great topics and a great guest. Please introduce yourself.
William A. Cannon, Rochester, New York.
All right. A lot happened in the NFL week 2. So let's just get right into it. The Patriots' second-string quarterback got hurt, and he's going to be hurt for a couple of weeks. The Patriots actually really wanted him to play, and at least be active today, but they couldn't do that. So now they're back down to their third-string quarterback, and now their second-string quarterback is actually the wide receiver. So how do you feel about the Patriots circus, and will it be able to be patched up for 2 more weeks until the great legend Tom Brady comes back?
Well, going into this season, obviously Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt, and now they have Jacoby, whatever his last name is.
Yeah, he has
What's
a
his
weird
last name?
name. He has a weird name. It's
Wrestler, something like that. But yeah. So going into this season, I was like, well, they got 4 games without Tom Brady. All they got to do is split. They've already split. So in my opinion, it's a circus. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't to me matter from a season standpoint. They don't need to win again before Tom Brady comes back. They'll split. They'll be 2-2, and Gronk, I believe, came back tonight. Tom Brady's the key to the operation. They'll be 2-2 with 10 games. Well, it'll be 12 games to go. No concerns. Right. They'll still win the division.
All right, it's Jacoby Brissett. It's
entertaining, but I don't think it's going to matter.
Yeah, I agree. The Patriots find so many different ways to win without superior quarterback play when Tom Brady's out. And I think they'll be able to sustain. And also, if you look at the schedule's in favor for them. They already won 2 games. They play the Texans tonight, and they play the Bills in like 2 weeks.
2 wins.
So, it's just favorable right now for them to be okay and patch it up. But going forward, I think is a problem, right? Because I think Garoppolo's going to be out, if not the remainder of the season, at least a few months. You see a lot of guys with shoulder never come back. And then do you really want your wide receiver to be a third-string quarterback? Right. At the end of the day, I don't care who you are. No one really wants to play a rookie quarterback. No one really wants to put their faith in the whole franchise. That Tom Brady was to go down injured, you don't want to put that on the shoulders of a rookie quarterback.
Not if you're trying to win.
Yeah, so I just think it's going to be a circus, but I think once Tom be back, they'll be fine. But the Patriots will be fine because they do have a good defense. Running game is solid. And like you said, once Gronk come back, they'll be okay.
And I do think also from a strategic standpoint, Tom Brady's pretty reliable. But if you're opposing teams going forward and you know that the backup is, Jacoby Bressler and this wide receiver, are you not going to be targeting Tom Brady and try to put him out the rest of the season?
Right.
But if that happens, that contention, Super Bowl dreams, that's over with.
Right. So it's going to be interesting. But another team with circus quarterback situation is the great Cleveland Browns. RG3 went down in week 1, I believe. Week 2, Josh McCown got hurt. So this week, another quarterback will be in the starting lineup. But the real question is, who cares? It's the Browns. I really think they could easily go 0-16. The Browns have so many issues. Would you, being the first coach, the first-year coach, would you be trying to fix your quarterback situation for the rest of the year, or would you be trying to patch it up for going forward and try to find someone, at least give you 2-3 years of quarterback play?
Well, it seems every year with the Browns, there's another first-year coach.
Right.
And there'll be another one next year. I don't think it matters what your perspective is because you're going to get fired in January. The Browns are probably the worst organization in football right now. There's teams that have just as bad success. But when you look at ownership, general manager, the coaching circus, the quarterback circus, Johnny Manziel, the other receiver, Josh, I forget his last name, the receiver with the issues, Josh Gordon. When you look at the type of guys they pick, it's a different coach every year, which means a different system every year, different offensive system every year. It is totally ridiculous, and quite frankly, that coach can pretty much, to me, just focus on his next job. You know, I'm not sure why anyone would ever take a Browns job, because the only thing you get out of that is get fired and you damage your resume. I think whatever your position is, special teams coach, position coach, I would take any job in the NFL other than the Browns head coaching job.
You have
and
to.
As far as what he does with his quarterbacks, we're down to Cody Kessler and Charlie Whitehurst. Yeah, not much better than RG and Josh McCown. So I think you're in a no-win situation with that franchise.
And also, I look at it like this. I'm like, to me, RG3 didn't. If you've seen the play, he didn't have to get hurt. He decided to, instead of go out of bounds, to put his shoulder down and try to truck somebody, and he weighs 100 pounds. So I didn't understand that, specifically when you know you are injury prone. Someone touches you and you out for a couple of weeks, couple of months, and you know you're trying. He needed that job to change his, his position in the sense of how people view him as a quarterback in the NFL. He was done at the last season. No one wanted to touch him. The dude gave him a shot and gave him the starting position and said, "You're going to resurrect your career with me." But now I don't think he's ever going to get his job back, even with the Browns, because that coach is going to be gone. So who's going to give you a shot?
Yeah, what have you done?
Right.
So what have you done to earn a shot? I mean, injuries are unfortunate, but I think that if you're another team, he's done nothing in 3 years before he gave a shot, and he did something that once again doesn't make sense, which you just stated. Running into traffic instead of getting down. He's not Cam Newton.
Right.
He's not Colin Kaepernick. He's not Ben Roethlisberger. If you're gonna, look at Michael Vick's career. If you're gonna be a running quarterback, honestly, you need to be like 6'4", 6'5", honestly, pushing 230 or 240. To the point that you have significant size advantage on a lot of people who are trying to tackle you, defensive backs. If you're 230, 240, you're the size of a lot of linebackers almost, very close. You're not going to see too many quarterbacks 6 feet tall, 6'1", anywhere around 200 pounds, run with any success and not continue to get hurt. Michael Vick is a perfect example. RG3 is another example. It's just, and then you compare those individuals to someone like Donovan McNabb.
Right.
He got hurt, but it wasn't like he got hurt all the time because he was 6'3", pushing 240. Dante Culpepper ran a lot, didn't get hurt a lot. Steve Young, 6'3", 230. So I think that he's not a big guy. I mean, you don't see Drew Brees running out there, so why are you running out there?
Especially when you don't have to. I'm like, dude, you got to protect yourself. They teach you how to slide. There's so many, specifically when it's quarterback, there's so many rules that protect the quarterback. Can't hit him in the head. Can't hit him late. If they slide, you can't come down on them. You can't hit them from behind. You can't touch their helmet. Like, there's so many rules to protect. I would just use the rules. Not only can you not hit me, I'm going out of bounds to protect myself. I'm sliding. I'm, using the ground as a friend. Using the out of bounds line as a friend to help me not get hit. But,
and I'm not sure like you said, I'm not sure he's going to work after this season. This might be it.
I think it is, because it's going to take a coach and an organization to trust the coach, because most organizations probably won't touch him.
Yep.
But a coach would be able to say, I vouch for this guy. When you have a coach put his job on the line and say, I'm going to resurrect RG3's career, and then he gets hurt in week 1, now you have to figure it out the rest of the season. Yep. And I don't think the Browns will.
No.
Speaking of hurt, good friend Adrian Peterson tore meniscus, and he tore it, and he didn't have anything to do with them winning or losing the game. Sam Bradford won the game on Monday night. The week before that, the other quarterback won the game. The running game is one of the worst in the league, but Minnesota Vikings are 2-0. Now Teddy Bridgewater's out for the season. They don't want to say Adrian Peterson's out for the season yet, but they say he will miss a significant amount of time because he elected to have surgery instead of trying to get it to heal. So, do you think the Vikings are done? Can you overcome another obstacle like this?
No. This is a team, last year I think they won about 10 games, something like that. There are certain teams that are on the fringe. If they make the playoffs, it's going to be by a game, game or two, usually a game. The Minnesota Vikings margin of error rested with Teddy Bridgewater and Adrian Peterson.
Right.
As a matter of fact, once Adrian Peterson went down, once Teddy Bridgewater went down, you can arguably say that the playoffs were done. Maybe if Adrian Peterson had a monster year, it's possible. But at this point of AP's career, he's 31 years old, 32 in March. Teddy Bridgewater is a young guy. He's the franchise. He is more significant factor than Adrian Peterson right now. But with them both out, it's over. I mean, if I were him, only purpose of him coming back, now he's under contract for next year. The only purpose to me for him to come back, even if it's for a few games because the playoffs will be over, is to show teams what he can do. He's already under contract with Minnesota.
Right.
I don't suspect that they'll trade him, but you don't know that. I just don't think so because he's owed $11 million, which is not terrible, but there's an $18 million cap hit. He'll be 32 in March. I think it's reasonable to say he's going to be playing for the Minnesota Vikings next year.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I agree, but also I look at it like this. To me, you're arresting the fate of your team on Sam Bradford's shoulders.
Oh, boy.
At that, when I hear that, I say, nah, that's not going to happen. You're not going to make the playoffs with that. Now, Sam Bradford played great Monday night, but that offensive line had a lot of problems with protection. That man almost died back there. He kept getting hit, hurt his hand, had to go to the locker room. They fixed his hand. Then he hurt his knee. They hurt this, hurt that. I don't know if he can last the whole season because he makes great plays. Then it's like he's in a daze. He doesn't even think he should be there. It looks like he doesn't have the confidence. It looks like he's like shocked when good things happen. Oh my God, the guy caught the ball. Oh, we got a first down. He looks just as shocked as I do, and I'm sitting on the couch.
Yeah.
To me, that's a problem and he was the third string quarterback on another team. Carson Wentz was going to start for the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia Eagles tried to say he wasn't going to start, but he was going to start. And to touch on about the Browns earlier, the Browns fired a couple of scouts because they had an opportunity to choose Carson Wentz and didn't get him.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a lot. I'm like the Vikings. It's just they're in shambles, and it seemed like I don't know if they cursed, but I'm like, yo, man, they had two major injuries to two key players in less than a month. I mean, they couldn't.
And I think their ceiling. I think the Vikings' ceiling is only the playoffs anyway.
Right.
That's it. I mean, this team. That's it. Get to the playoffs, win one game if you're lucky, and that's it. You're not winning two games. So I think that when you have a team that even to get to the playoffs, there's no chance of any NFC, title. There's no chance of any Super Bowls. When you have teams that are just barely, you're banking on 10 games, 11 if you're lucky. You're really banking on 10 games.
Right.
There's no margin of error. And your star quarterback goes down. To me, that was it right there. Adrian Peterson. I mean, he'll probably try to come back, but once again, it's just for pride. The season will be over.
Yeah, Adrian Peterson, he heals, well. A lot of injuries he's had before.
The steroids is wonderful. I mean,
a lot of injuries he had before. He bounced back relatively quickly, but if he wants to play next season, he wants to have longevity in his career. I don't know what he wants to do long term. He may want to just take it slow, and just say, I'm gonna sit out this year, or if they can
get that deer antler juice.
Right, that deer antler spray. That's good stuff.
Yeah.
There's 8 teams who are 2-0. Here's a question: the best 2-0 team. I'm gonna give you the teams, and you tell me who the best 2-0 team in your opinion is. The Giants are 2-0. The Ravens, the Broncos, the Vikings, we just talked about them. The Texans, the Patriots, the Eagles, the Steelers, and that's it. The best.
And you said the Cardinals, right?
I did not say the Cardinals. I believe the Cardinals.
But you got the number right. You got the number right, though. 8.
Yeah, 8. The Cardinals lost week 1 against the Patriots, remember?
Oh, that's correct. Yep. All right, I think, honestly, the best 2-0 team.
I'll repeat them. Giants, Ravens, Broncos, Vikings, Texans, as surprising as that is. The Patriots, who are up 10-0 in the second quarter right now.
Oh, I got it.
the Eagles, and the Steelers.
Patriots. I don't even know why it took so long to think about that. Patriots, because that's all they need to be. They don't need to win another game until Tom Brady comes back. They're fine. I think my second team will probably be the Giants, but I think when we're said and done, I think that the Patriots will get further in the season than the Giants. And I just think on paper, when you put Tom Brady back in the mix, on this team, it's not going to matter. I mean, I think for right now, 2-0, going into the next 2 weeks, I'd go with the Giants. But going forward past, who's in a better position in the driver's seat being 2-0 at this point of the season? It's the Patriots. Patriots, you wouldn't want to be 1-3 without Tom Brady. You wouldn't want to be 0-4. 2-2, that's a split. I mean, 3-1 will be awesome. 4-0 is probably not going to happen. I think they're the best team that's 2-0 right now. Because for them to be 2-0 with Jimmy Garoppolo and this other quarterback playing tonight, already, they both each won a game. That's impressive.
Yeah. I like the Denver Broncos. I watched both Denver Broncos games. The defense is still good. DeMarcus Ware just got hurt. He's out, I think, a few weeks. But the defense is still solid. And they have this crazy running game that they literally just have to stay on pace, 2 yards, 3 yards, and they literally give the quarterback so many. The guys are open by formation. I'm putting seam coverage on one guy, so all I know is if he run a curl or slant, I know I can get a first down. They're making it easy for him to be successful. They're not putting a lot of pressure. Right, they're not putting a lot of pressure on. And Gary Kubiak is a great offensive genius, so he's not putting a lot of pressure on. He knows he's a rookie quarterback, so I'm not going to tell you to fit it through 2-3 defenders, over and under. No. I'm going to give you single coverage. If my wide receiver beats that cornerback, we got a first down. So I just think Denver had a bigger transition because Peyton Manning didn't play great, but I think they had an opportunity to get a better quarterback, whether it's Colin Kaepernick or different trade for different guys, and they said, no, we're going to stick with this guy that we have. And they put a lot of formations in there to help him out. And those guys are really, really doing great for him with it, running the ball, playing solid defense like they did last year. They haven't really had a drop-off to me.
No, and I think you raise a good point because I heard someone saying, I agree, that when you look at the production from the quarterback, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
This guy's not now experience is a whole different thing, and mentality and leadership is a whole different thing. But when you look at the pure production, talent-wise, from this quarterback this year, Peyton Manning, it ain't much difference.
Right.
They're the same plays. It's not like this guy actually has a stronger arm. He's younger. But, obviously he's nothing that Peyton Manning was at this point of his career. But I think that when you look at what you're going to ask this quarterback, in contrast to what you asked Peyton Manning to do last year, it's the same. The only difference is that the experience.
Right.
And so when different defenses are thrown at this guy, they're going to be thrown at for the first time. You really weren't going to fool Peyton Manning a lot last year. He just couldn't make the throws. So they had to scale down the playbook, and a lot of times he made the right reads. It's just the ball had no velocity.
Right.
So it led to a lot of interceptions. He made the right reads. The ball just couldn't get there in time. And so I think from a playbook standpoint, it's the same playbook. Now, the only difference is I think we know that a rookie quarterback is just unfortunately not going to get you back to Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. And I think, later in the season when they have tougher games and they play tougher defenses, and the running game is not as successful as it can be, and the defense is not as, dominant as it can be, the quarterback's going to have to make some plays for you.
Yeah.
But I think this type of these games that are practice games, and he'll be able to make sure that hopefully he can gain experience while on the job.
As long as they can run this ball, but as time goes on,
right?
A lot of teams don't show their hand into the playoffs. But as time goes on, and you get in the playoffs, then that's it. It's week to week, and teams are going to stack the line and be determined to stop that running game. And now you put this guy in a situation that's going to be hard to beat.
Yeah. Kind of in the same realm. The worst 0-2 teams. There's 8 teams who are 0-2. We've talked about one of them being the Cleveland Browns. The Miami Dolphins, the Colts, the Bears, the Saints, the Jaguars, the Redskins, and our lovely Buffalo Bills. Who's the worst team? Who can pull themselves out of this hole? But who's the worst team in this bunch? I'll repeat them again. The Bills, the Redskins, the Jaguars, the Saints, the Bears, the Colts. It's kind of surprising. The Dolphins and the Browns.
The worst team that's 0-2 is the Browns because there's no hope.
Yeah.
I mean, second I'd have to say the Bills, but the problem is you do have some experience. I mean, Tyrod Taylor is struggling, but there's more of an upside to Tyrod Taylor, for the remaining 14 games than there is for anything that the Browns are going to be produced, under center.
Right.
And then, as ridiculous as Rex Ryan is, and he is pretty ridiculous.
And his brother.
They're pretty ridiculous, but the experience, the total mind that he has from a defensive standpoint, there's going to be some games in there that Rex Ryan's defense is going to produce some great games. There's going to be some games that Tyrod Taylor, do I think it's going to be enough to make the playoffs? No. But there's going to be some games that Tyrod Taylor is going to look great. It's going to look like he looked last year. There's going to be some games with LaShawn McCoy. They're going to look great. The entire team offense. But the problem is there's hope there. And the hope is because whether it's talking about Rex Ryan, Tyrod Taylor, Sean McCoy, and many of the other players in the Bills versus the Browns, which I said is the worst team, the difference is who in the Browns has a track record of success from a general manager down, from the owner, general manager, coach, and the players.
Right.
Where do you go to? Where is the guy who has success? The Browns, they're young, and they have no one in that team that knows a thing about winning. And the Bills, they're my second worst team because they're pretty bad, but they know a little bit more about winning than the Browns.
Right. I think the worst thing for me is the Redskins because they made 2 mistakes in the offseason.
Yeah.
They gave crazy old Kirk Cousins some money, and they did nothing else.
Yeah. Okay, nothing else.
Nothing else.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's interesting.
Reason they did nothing else, they said, we're going to get Josh Norman. They paid Josh Norman a lot of money. But then they say, he's only going to cover guys on his side of the field. So any team playing them is just going to put their best receiver on the other side of the field.
Antonio Brown.
I watched that first game against Pittsburgh. I'm like, okay, Pittsburgh, they were in the game. The Redskins were in the game. Ben Roethlisberger looked shocked when Josh Norman continuously lined up against bums. Guys I don't even know the names of. And they just let the other cornerback get torched.
No first quarter adjustment, no halftime adjustment, no third, no fourth.
No. So then I'm like, okay.
Not even a post-game interview adjustment.
Right. And, and then they have analysts that say, it was difficult to adjust, mid-game. I'm like, okay, cool. So week 2, he definitely going to be on the best wide receiver. He was not. He was still on that half of the field. So then you hear people say, they really want to, model their defense against what the Seahawks do and say, okay, Richard Sherman shuts down one side of the field. I was like, the problem is you have a whole bunch of scrubs on the other 10 guys are bums.
Yeah, who's going to cover the other players?
I was like, Richard Sherman can cover both sides. He just doesn't have to. And also, he shuts down anybody, not just the people on his side. The good people, the bad people, whatever. I'm not paying you $100 million to shut down bums. I'm not paying you $100 million to tell me what side you want to be on.
Yeah.
While this other man is getting torched again, when the name of the game is to win games.
That's right.
And when you're in the game, I can see if you get blown out and y'all want to, try some different plays, some different schemes, great. But when you are in the game and you're trying to win the game, you need to follow him. Now, I believe personally that I don't think Josh Norman's the best cornerback in the league. Because if you are the best cornerback in the league, you would never tell Deion Sanders to line up against some bums and let the other guy get torched. Deion Sanders will quit and be like, he's not going to be on my field catching wreck on any of my guys, and definitely not me.
Yep.
Every time someone has a good play against the Seattle Seahawks, Richard Sherman says, I got him. No matter where he at.
Yep.
I got him.
Yep.
That doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. I don't care who the coach is. I don't care what agreement y'all have with them. That is a man thing when it comes to Josh Norman. To me, to be the best, you have to play the best. There's nothing wrong with getting torched. Revis got torched the last 2 weeks. Okay. You going to have some bad games. But you can't tell me you going to pay a man $100 million just to cover half the field.
To be a system quarterback.
Right. That's a problem.
Yeah.
So that and that's the biggest thing because the Redskins have been.
Richard Sherman does not make that kind of money, by the way.
Yeah. And because he's on a team, none of them guys make that kind of money because they know we have to keep the team together, number one. Number two, but they know if I go to another team, I'm going to have to change everything. I can't be as great as I am right now if I go to another team. So they know if I got it right, if I know this guy's over here doing his job, I'm over here doing my job, it works together collectively. Seattle Seahawks have been playing great defense this just so far. They lost the game today 9-3.
But that means they only gave up 9 points.
Right. They gave up 3 field goals. I'm like, yo, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So, and the first game they won, I think 12-10 or 12-9, something like that.
Yeah, it was 12-9.
Yeah, so, I think the Redskins, once they signed Kirk Cousins, I think they thought, okay, we good. But you have the same situation with the IG3. You have guys in the locker room already throwing Kirk Cousins on the bus. He threw a pick in the red zone the other day and they could have won the game. They were up. So,
and in one makes you wonder, even though Daniel Snyder, the Redskins owner, has stepped back, he's decided not to be Jerry Jones, even though he was trying to be him for the first 10, 15 years of his career.
Right.
And you don't see him much, but you still wonder at times if Daniel Snyder goes for the big names. And you have a lot of teams that do that. They make decisions based on headline. Josh Norman was one of the biggest names out there, if not the biggest. And sometimes you wonder, our teams, especially Daniel Snyder, who definitely has a track record of doing this, of going after names, going after Deion Sanders when he was well past his prime, things like that. And you wonder if he was trying to make a big splash. And the other thing that makes me wonder is, do the Redskins know, now that they have him on the team, do they know they made a mistake and they're trying to protect this guy and they know this guy is not a shutdown corner?
I think so. But here's the problem. At what point do you say we got to stop overpaying people? Remember Albert Hainsworth. Remember what's the dude from Philly? Donovan did they have McNabb, right? They had McNabb on the back end of his career.
They gave him a fluff contract. It was really hollow.
But it was on the back end of his career.
Yeah. Back end of his career. Yep.
Deshaun Jackson has turned out because the quarterbacks haven't panned out. But I'm like, at what point do we say, listen, let's get these draft picks, let's get these trades, let's get it that way. We can't continue to spend millions of dollars and it not pan out. And Kirk Cousins really, to me, only had one good year. But the reason they gave him the money because they really was so sure on just getting rid of IG3. I don't think they even cared who the quarterback was. He was starting. Whoever the quarterback was getting the check.
Yeah, and I think the Redskins, for whatever reason, think that they're more than what they are. I mean, there are certain teams where you get it, like the Yankees and certain teams, right? The Cowboys.
Yeah.
Does the National Football League really care what the Redskins do? No. I mean, what are you making a splash for? I mean, maybe it's a big deal in Washington, but from a national level, no one cares.
Right.
No one cares. They have some loyal fans, and I think they routinely probably still have the highest ticket prices in the country, and they make a ton of money, and they're worth that franchise is worth a ton of money. They're always in the top 1, 2, or 3. But compare the worth of that franchise and the impact that it has on the psyche of the American football fan versus the Cowboys. you hate the Cowboys or you love them. I don't think unless you're a Redskins fan, you don't care what. Unless you're a fan of the Redskins, you don't hate them, you don't love them. They don't matter. They're irrelevant.
Right.
So other than your own city, which Baltimore clearly runs the football in that city anyway, who are you trying to impress with big splashes? Because the national football audience could care less about the Redskins, one way or another.
Yeah, right. I agree with that. Like, that's ridiculous. The last but most important question is, what do you look forward to in week 3? I know I was upset after week 2 because a lot of things happened. A lot of guys got injured. The Buffalo Jets game, I was really upset about that. But moving on, it's a new week. There's not a lot of great matchups. I'll read some of the matchups to you. Atlanta, New Orleans is the Monday night game. Chicago at Dallas is the 8:30 NBC game Sunday night. Keep in mind, Jay Cutler is hurt. I don't even think anyone cares if Jay Cutler's hurt or not. It's Jay Cutler. I think it's crazy I'm about to say this, but I think the biggest game on deck is the San Francisco-Seattle. Every time those guys get together, it's going to be a great game. But what do you look forward to?
It's funny, though. You know, I was thinking about this, and I took a look at the games, and I'll tell you what I'm looking for, and I'll tell you who I'm looking at. Number one, I'm looking for teams to establish themselves, and I'm looking for team identities. So far this season, I know the Cards are 1-1, but they're playing the way the Cards were playing last year. And I feel like the only team, even though 1-1, I feel like the only team to me up to this point that has formed an identity is the Cardinals.
Yeah.
You know what you're going to get. You're going to get a lot of formation, you know. You're going to get passes coming from different directions. You're going to get dominant offense, a running game. You're going to get a pretty decent, at least in the secondary for sure. You know, Patrick Peterson and boys, you're definitely in the secondary going to get great effort in the secondary, you know. And I think that this team is hitting all cylinders. They play the Bills this week. I think they're going to run all over the Bills, by the way. But what I'm looking for is team identities across the board, and I'm looking to see if the Cardinals can dominate and see if the Panthers can dominate. Because I feel like the Cardinals and the Panthers, even though the Panthers also are 1-1, I feel like the Panthers, like the Cardinals, are at least they have an identity. It's a continued identity from last year. They're 1-1, but they are still the teams they are. Would not be surprised if they're both, you know, if they make it back to the NFC Championship game. You know, again. But across the board, I'm just looking for. I mean, I don't care who you are. Philadelphia, somebody. We got a lot of 0-2 teams, 1-1. I mean, but we have a lot. But we don't know who these teams are. Right. There's a lot of question marks. I'm trying to figure out, other than a few teams, who are half these teams? Who are you? Are you what you were last year? Are you better than last year?
Right.
Are you worse than last year? There's a lot of inconsistency across the board.
Right.
Which one might say is good for football. You know, another thing I'm looking for is the NFL to put some games on Sunday night football, Monday night football, and Thursday night football that one actually cares about. And if the Chicago Bears plays one more game in prime time, I think I'm going to scream.
After Sunday.
I just don't understand.
They're playing one Sunday at 8:30.
I just don't understand. I don't understand. That automatically makes me not want to watch.
I don't watch the Chicago Bears. I was gonna like, let me rush home. Then it's like, Jay Cutler's playing. I was like, well, maybe not. I literally got home in the fourth quarter. I got home in the fourth quarter. My boy texted me like, so he got hurt. I'm like, well, no surprise. I'm so glad I did. I literally went hiking. I was like, I'm no way I'm going to rush home to watch.
Hiking, soup kitchen. There's a lot of options.
Like, I'd rather do something else. I'm looking for 3 things, right?
Okay.
I think Russell Wilson is seriously hurt, right? I watched that game. He could literally barely move. They're doing different formations out of running plays. They're literally doing sweeps, tosses, and short passes. And they're going to have to make a decision on whether do we sit him to get him more healthier for the future, or do we continue to try to help him gain strength in the ankle as he plays? Because you can't always rely on that defense. They put a lot of pressure on that defense, not just last season, but every season. But the offense has to expand. they paid a lot of money for that guy to come to New Orleans. The guy come from New Orleans, and he's a blocker now.
Jimmy Graham.
And he's a blocker now. To me, that's a
Yeah.
problem because Russell's hurt, so you have to block. But I'm not paying this dude a lot of money because New Orleans gave him a contract and then they shipped him out.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're paying this guy millions of dollars to block
Mm-hmm.
when he can easily get you 15 touchdowns a season.
Yeah, I can get a draft pick to block for me.
Right.
I can get a guy. I get a guy can't even catch. Just block.
Yeah, I can get anyone to block. So I think Seattle needs to figure that out. My other thing is Oakland for real, or are they just playing with us? They won the first game. They almost won the second game against the Falcons. They lost only by a touchdown. Oakland plays Tennessee. Tennessee is sorry. Oakland might be turning this leaf, but I need to know if they for real. They had some flashes of being for real last season. Obviously, that guy who has a lot of sacks from Buffalo, he did really, really good last season. Mac. So I need to know if they for real. If they for real, I'm with him. But if it's same old Oakland, they win a few games here and there, or they play you tough and they lose in the end, I'm not with that.
One thing I'll say about Russell is I think that you asked a question, are they going to sit him? And I think that it's not about whether they're going to sit him. It's whether any franchise quarterback, even to the detriment of that season, will ever sit themselves.
Right.
And I think it's been shown whether it's Brett Favre with finger injuries or different quarterbacks, play guys at the quarterback position will sit there and show up, broke up, know they ain't going to produce for all 16 games just to not lose their job.
Peyton Manning did it last season.
Who? Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Did it last season.
The coach had to sit him. He did not sit himself.
Right.
And if he had not sit himself, obviously they would not have won the Super Bowl because he needed that rest. And I think that in the quarterback position, a quarterback, and there you want to say it's a level of selfishness, but these guys will roll out there. I mean, listen, a running back, any other position, guys that sometimes make a decision, okay, I just need to let the next man up. But a quarterback position, heck to the no. We would just not make the playoffs this year. I'm good.
Right.
But nobody's taking my time.
And that's one of the easiest positions to be taken, because if a guy comes in and have one or two hot games, most coaches will be like, okay, well, let me see if he got 3. Let me see if he got 4.
There you go.
And you may not have an opportunity to get your job back. And you're looking from a business aspect, is the backup makes way less than what the starter makes. So guess what?
Go.
If he's playing better, or even he's just playing, giving me what you can give me, I'll take it at a lower rate. So,
and for whatever reason, other positions, isn't it? It's just an honor code. You get your cornerback position back. You get your running back. I don't care how many guys the guy is running for the running back position. I'm the starter. I come back and do my job. I'm the defensive back.
Right.
I'm the linebacker. But no, not the quarterback position.
Right. And it's serious because we've seen it happen with different guys. Once a guy has one or two hot games, or someone has lightning in the bottle, it could be different reasons, And look at Alex Smith. That dude has been average for years, but because someone got hurt, he was ready at the time and played well. He got paid off of that. So
that's right.
But the last thing I'm looking forward to this week is what's going on with the Colts. They gave Andrew Luck a lot of money. They re-signed Chuck Pagano. And the Colts, if they can't play defense, they can at least score points. They can't do nothing this year. The running game is trash. Offense is trash. Andrew Luck's hurt. Defense is non-existent. Chuck Pagano. To me, when you got a guy, you say, well, you don't want to re-sign Chuck Pagano 2 years ago. Then we really don't want to sign him last year. Then you sign him again. If you know he doesn't fit or mesh with whatever system or doesn't get along with the owners and the GM, just get rid of him then. Because eventually he going to start losing. Now you going to look stupid saying, oh, well, we're going to go in a different direction. You should have been went in a different direction. You knew he wasn't the guy.
They still got is Chuck Pagano still at the helm? They still got him for now?
Yes.
They still got him for
They
now.
re-signed him. And they gave Andrew Luck like a mansion, a house, a car, a boat.
I believe he's the highest paid quarterback in the NFL right now.
I'm like, what's going on? So they're going to have to figure out what's going on. Because I like Chuck Pagano. but I think he got a raw deal because you have GMs that are very vocal. And then he had some head scratching, calls on national TV, and he wasn't allowed to just be a coach. And but I understand, you have to make decisions on the fly as a coach. But I want to see what's going on there because they go 0-3, 1-4, 1-5. He's not gonna make it the whole season.
Oh, absolutely not, because this is a business decision, and that would be a business firing. Don't have to be justified from it, even a general manager owner standpoint.
Right.
If we go, we've already paid the quarterback, so people will continue to get fired, regardless of your skill as a coach, until somebody gets a winning record with this quarterback that we paid all this money to.
Right.
Doesn't matter if you're good or you suck. Doesn't matter if Andrew Luck sucks and you're a sorry coach. We will continue to fire people until somebody has a head coaching job with a good record. And that's all to it. I mean, because they're never going to blame that quarterback.
Right.
It would take years before that ownership group says Andrew Luck is the actual problem. And it would be unprecedented because you don't see guys get that kind of money and it not work out. I mean, that's a whole lot of, you don't see guys, when guys get top dollar, like money like that, and Andrew Luck just happened to be at the right time at the right place because, I don't see anything from, other than the standpoint of market value, I don't see he earned that money.
No.
In the last 2 years, I don't see he earned that money. First 3 years, maybe.
To me, it has to relate into playoff wins. The Colts have a Super Bowl championship. They need to try to get back to that. And I understand they want to, but in the last few years, they have just been stagnant, second-tier team.
Yeah.
They haven't beat any big-name teams. So
that's true. Not a lot of big wins, even in the regular season. You're right.
Right. So I think I'm not saying they gave him the money premature, but I think they showed their hand that they want him to be the franchise quarterback, but you don't really have a great franchise. You don't have a solid running game.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have a solid defense. You already shaky with the coaching staff that you don't know if you want to extend or not extend. That's a problem. Mm-hmm. You don't even you have questions everywhere else, but you say we have a solid one player specifically that may not take you anywhere. Mm-hmm. And like I said, they may be in the third tier team if they go 1-something or 2-something. It may get worse before it gets better.
Well, at least they got Frank Gore.
I didn't even know he had a job until they said they got Frank Gore, and I was like, who? I was like, the guy from San Francisco, Frank Gore?
Yeah.
And it's sad because there's a lot of older guys out here with jobs. Frank Gore, Reggie
He was supposed
Bush.
to be one of their saviors last year. Didn't quite work out.
It's not going to work out. Reggie Bush plays for the Bills. I want to say Andre Johnson still has a job. The Redskins picked up the tight end from San Francisco 49ers.
Vernon Davis.
He had
working out not great.
Yeah, he had a couple of drop passes. I'm like, y'all should have known that was coming with Vernon. Vernon been dropping passes for like 5 years. I'm like,
that's right.
Y'all don't know Vernon? Vernon, he said, he's fast. He be fast and he be open, but he go drop.
He played for the Broncos last year, right?
Did he play for the Broncos?
Because
I know he got hurt.
It was a tight end that came from the 49ers to the Broncos. I mean, he didn't do anything. I was pretty sure Vernon Davis played for stole a ring last year with the Broncos.
But I'm like, Vernon Davis, his whole career has been, I'm trash, I'm fast, I'm big, but I'm not catching the ball. You throw it to me,
I'm not catching the ball. Yeah. Pretty much.
Not happening.
Yep.
But anyway, that was a great conversation with you about NFL Week 2. I hope Week 3 will be totally better. Not as many injuries, but I hope we have some good games. Week 1, even though the matchups weren't great, the games ended up being great.
Right.
And close. So, anyway, we'll see you all next week.